If I can help people understand their health problem, find the right toolkit or practitioner, apply it, and then maintain that epic result, I've won. That's my whole life plan, like right there. My mission is to spread the word of Ayurveda, this system of medicine from India that's over 5,000 years old. Ayurveda is incredible for our health, for our well-being, to build vibrant health, to reverse chronic disease, all the things that have mattered to me since I was little. I knew since I was little, I was meant to help people with their health. And since college, when I learned about social entrepreneurship, I knew I will build things that change the world, whether it's a business or a solution, a product. I didn't know what it was. Back when I was 21, I decided I will create social entrepreneurial ventures that change the world.
Good morning and welcome to the Fusionary Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta, and this is the podcast dedicating to recalibrating your health every day. My goal is to help you wake up each day energized by addressing root causes and giving you new approaches to preventive health. The more we know about integrative health, the more empowered we are in building the vibrant health we want.
Hello and welcome to the Fusionary Health Podcast 2023 wrap-up. So this is our last episode of the year, and I wanted to dive on here myself. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta, and for those of you who don't know me, I wanted to share a little bit about myself, what happened this year, and kind of give you some highlights, because this has been an interesting year with this podcast. I am completely new to podcasting. I started in January, and we decided to name this the Fusionary Health Podcast. The goal was to interview all the incredible practitioners who I have met over the last 8 years doing what I do, because I get to sit in their offices or take them out to lunch and have these profound conversations. Like, we talk about health and wellness and their patient load and their patient cases and unique cases and things they did. And I'm always like, God, if the whole world could hear this, we'd have a different world, because we'd have a different understanding of how we can approach our health. And so that's why it was such an honor to finally get to do a podcast like this and make the time and the investment and all the things that it takes to have a podcast. I have an amazing team who does the work behind the scenes. They take each episode, they cut it, splice it, post it to YouTube. They make sure it's posted on the websites that spread your podcast audio through all the different places in the ethosphere, world's places, whatever they're called, Spotify, etc. And then they're out there sharing it and helping do all the things. So I get to do my favorite part, which is just interview the incredible guests. And at the beginning, I was doing some solo episodes, and then the year just got away from me, and I haven't done that in a while. And I'm excited to share that with you, because I made a list. I went through my calendar and was like, what happened this year? What is the year in review for 2023? So let me introduce myself, Dr. Shivani Gupta. I am an Ayurvedic practitioner. I am an author. I'm a speaker. I love speaking on stages, whether it's at women's conferences, inspiring women to be healthier, or at medical conferences, showing doctors the power of the science behind curcumin for their specialty of medicine. Those are both big passions of mine. I love working with clients one-on-one and in a group setting. A lot of what I do is teach Ayurvedic medicine and Ayurvedic wisdom to reduce inflammation and win at our gut health so we can have overall vibrant health. And so I have a beautiful Facebook group called the Inflammation Solution, where I do that. It's called Inflammation Solution, Natural Strategies for Busy Women. I have this podcast, the Fusionary Health Podcast, and then I teach online. So like so many people who are inspired by health, I teach on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and YouTube and Twitter, which is now X as of this year. So it's been fun. It's been a fun year of becoming better at teaching what I want to teach and sharing my message in a more cohesive way that people can hear, understand, digest, absorb, and utilize. kind of like the food we should all be eating, but in the source of knowledge. If you don't know me well, I live in South Florida. I have two beautiful children. They're 10 and 13. I am married to an MD who thinks pretty differently than I do, but we have such mutual respect that it's all good. But it's funny because our worlds are like, he does medicine his way, and I definitely am going my direction with it. But he's so supportive of me and all my work, which is really nice. So I have a beautiful personal life that's healthy and vibrant and awesome. I have a business life that's thriving. About 8 years ago, I had finished my master's in Ayurvedic sciences, and I had finished my PhD on turmeric. So everyone who meets me is like, I've never heard of a PhD in turmeric. And I'm like, I know, but I loved the topic and I wanted to understand it better. To me, when I was doing my master's, I couldn't understand why no one had really taken a deep dive into this one spice turmeric that could change the outcome of our health. And coming from the background I grew up feeling like I didn't have an immune system that supported me. I was chronically sick, chronically taking antibiotics. By the time I got to college, I was like, why am I the only sick one all the time? And everyone else gets to be healthy. This isn't fair. I also simultaneously watched my family really struggle with the tragedies of diabetes and health struggles. And that really left an indelible mark on me because as I'm going through middle school, high school, and into college, my grandma needed a quadruple bypass. And so my father flew her into the US to take care of her and reverse that. And it was really powerful to watch because back in the day, before anyone cared about vitamins and green juice and power plates and exercise and vibrant health, my dad basically built a biohacking studio in my home. And I got to see him reverse chronic disease in front of me. I got to see him do that for his father. His father landed from India. I'll never forget. And Dadaji's hand was shaking as he was holding a drink. He couldn't drink himself. He needed help with everything. And this was like, the patriarchal, like the father figure of the whole family, the master of the home, like this ever successful man who now could barely walk or hold a drink. Like it was just so demeaning and it was so frustrating to watch and tough. And I saw my dad reverse that as well. And I was like, okay, we have the power to transform our health at any point, no matter how bad it gets. And that has been my ethos since I was a child. My parents also came from India with nothing, like $25 in their pocket and metal trunks with their clothes. Back in the day, apparently it was metal trunks, not suitcases. And went from having jobs to my father being laid off to building their first company and working so hard. I worked for my parents as a little kid, starting in the 5th grade. So I remember my dad, I'd go visit during the holidays. Back then, we didn't have all the things we have now. So if you were a kid, you went to work with your parents. My kids are always like, no, I want to stay home. But I would go to work and my dad would be like, you can put stickers on the flyers because they had gone from having nothing to build this consumer electronics business before we had Circuit City and Best Buy. And so it was called Kernel Video and Audio in Houston, Texas. If you're from Houston, you may know it from the 80s and the 90s. And so it was just really cool to watch them build this entity and build this team. And I learned so much from my parents. My mom was like the mother of the business. So she took care of the employees and she was like accounting and operations. And my dad was the visionary. And he was like, we're going to go. And he grew the company to carrying like millions of dollars in inventory, 3 warehouses. They were a huge mail order business. And I got to work in that setting. So I have a deep respect for hard work pays off. I have a deep respect for you love your team and you get to build a family and support people in your community. I have a big respect for your family comes first and you take care of your family no matter what the situation is. And I think that's why God blessed me with the incredible in-law family that I have, that I live with, because we're very tight-knit. I'm like one of the matriarchs, I would say, 'cause we're an awesome family. I'm one of the matriarchs of like 17, 18 kids that we gather every holiday season for Christmas and Diwali and all those things. So I'm equal parts an entrepreneur who's trying to build incredible things and save the world, and equal parts this woman who's trying to raise beautiful, healthy children in this crazy world and keep my family together and keep everyone healthy and on track. And it's quite a job. It's quite an experience. Just reviewing my calendar for 2023, I was like, wow, you got a lot done. And what no one will ever see is all of Anya's performances and all the times we went to clean up e-waste and clean up beaches. And like, there's so much that I do with my kids. I share a little of it, but my goal online is really to inspire everyone to be healthy. So that's what you hear from me the most. And so I'm going to do a little 2023 wrap up and share what happened this year. For those of you who are interested, I know that there's some contingency of people who listen to this podcast every single episode. I think that that's amazing. You're like me. When I find someone who I love, who I'm into, I'm like, let's consume it all. Through the pandemic, I listened to the Rachel Hollis podcast every day when I went for my walks outside. And that was amazing because I really needed to hear a lot of her messages to kind of hold me through as a mom, trying to keep my family healthy and alive through pandemic times. And joyful and vibrant. So it's really cool when you find the people and the voices who resonate with you. And I don't take that lightly. I take that as an honor. I take that as such a gift that I'm able to do this and that my teaching or my voice or the message that is coming through me supports others on their health journey. And so I've gotten a couple testimonials from you guys this year. Like I have a woman out on the West Coast who loves the podcast and shares it with everyone. She said, "You're the queen of inflammation, and my job is just to share you." And then I had someone who was dealing with infertility issues, really challenging, multiple rounds of IVF, and listened to a doctor on this podcast, hired that amazing doctor, who discovered what the real issue was and is now pregnant. I have many people who've listened to this podcast and found the right practitioner for them to really dive into their health issue and unearth the problem and then solve it. And that to me that's the whole point of this. If I can help people understand their health problem, find the right toolkit or practitioner, apply it, and then maintain that epic result, I've won. That's my whole life plan, like right there. My mission is to spread the word of Ayurveda, this system of medicine from India that's over 5,000 years old. Ayurveda is incredible for our health, for our well-being, to build vibrant health, to reverse chronic disease, all the things that have mattered to me since I was little. I knew since I was little, I was meant to help people with their health. And since college, when I learned about social entrepreneurship, I knew I will build things that change the world, whether it's a business or a solution, a product. I didn't know what it was. Back when I was 21, I decided I will create social entrepreneurial ventures that change the world, period. And then I've just been on that journey. I'm a social entrepreneur. I've failed many, many, many times. And so now to be in a year where I'm finally winning, it's insane. It is such a mind bender. It's like equal parts, oh my God, I'm so excited, and equal parts, is this rocket ship going to crash? I'm from Houston and I live next to NASA. So I think of rockets and space and things a lot as my metaphors. That and cars. If you know me well, I'm very into fast cars. So those are my metaphors. But yeah, it's a wild ride. And I think our job is, if we've done the work to get there, enjoy the ride. Because I've also been part of huge cycles, watching my parents succeed, and then the cycle comes down and then you start over. So I think there's always power in really being humble and having humility all through the way, because what goes up does come down. That's kind of nature. And you just never know. And this year also has been a big year of juxtapositions, like so much good with the opposite of it as well, which we don't have control over. Right. And so that's why I always share with my very closest friends. I say, you know what? When life is peaceful, soak it up. As a mother, just soak it up. When it's just normal, it's really good. Because when normal goes away and it's like pneumonia, then it's a whole different, then you're in it and you're having to pull from a reserve. That reserve of energy and peace comes from those peaceful times. If you can soak it up then you have it and have that resilience and stress resilience for when things aren't going exactly as you planned. So let's dive in. I kicked off 2023 going to Austin, to Miraval. I don't know if you guys are into destination spas. I have been into detox centers and destination spas since college. My dad was a health nut. And so for vacations, instead of going on like a regular vacation, we'd go to a place that would detox us or massage us or do good things to us, and we could learn about health. My first job out of college was at Canyon Ranch in the Berkshires because I was obsessed with destination spas and I wanted to build one. So anyway, this year kicked off at Miraval, which I think, honestly, if we can all take a weekend in January and reset from the holidays before we kick off the year, instead of just jumping on the hamster wheel, I think that's actually the best thing we can do for ourselves. Not always financially possible for everyone, but I was going for my sister's, with my sister for a little reset weekend, and it was really fun. Then I had a hackathon. So I was invited by a gentleman named Alex, who is a professor at Clemson who studies genetics. And we did a whole biohackathon on curcumin. And it was 30 scientists who worked with me diving into why curcumin interacts with so many of our genes the way that it does, and what with curcumin would make it even better for things like Alzheimer's and different issues. So it was the coolest thing. And we took that experience, that 3-day immersion that we did together in the hackathon, and have since developed a Python code and have presented an abstract. We've built an abstract that we're going to present at a conference in 2024 on the science that we're discovering right now. And I'm really excited about it. Like, it's fascinating. And what Alex shared with me is this is what pharma uses to develop drugs. Like, they dive into like, what are the exact interactions and how will that result in our bodies? And thus that's how we're going to build the formula. And so I'm really excited about that. Like, that could be the biggest game changer. I have to be so patient. I'm always like, can I have it today? I want it now. Like, I could build the formula literally right now, and in 2 months we could all be consuming it. But you have to be patient. Science moves at its own dear pace. I have learned this year, and I'm such an impatient girl. I want everything today. So the hackathon happened in apparently January, February, according to my calendar. Then I spoke at Miami Orthopedic Society. That was a big deal. I didn't know that orthopedic docs have societies like these. And I spoke at one, and it was phenomenal. One of my favorite orthopedic docs who recommends my formulation, fusionary formulas, he came and he spoke at that about fusionary and his experience with it and his patients. And it was really cool. I had never spoken in front of medical doctors in a large group like that. So it was nerve-wracking. I had to build a PowerPoint for it. You guys, I'm very scientific, but I have trained myself on how to talk to doctors one-on-one and explain fusionary. It took 8 years, but I got real good at that, and I enjoy that job. This was a whole new job. And so it was interesting to kick off the year and like learn so much in that experience of how they present to each other, how they prevent their science and outcomes, and then how I should thus present to them. Then I spoke at Fem City. So Fem City is an amazing networking group of women. If you're looking for amazing women to network with, that organization exists in a lot of cities. And I got to formulate a talk on like inspiring these women to incorporate Ayurveda into their lives. And it was really cool because when I ran into those women later throughout the year, they were like, I chose a word that day and I am still doing the things. So I love that. And honestly, when I go to my deathbed, I will probably have inspired more people to use a tongue scraper than to have taken turmeric, which I find hilarious, but it's like the easier habit to pick up. And so many people end up after my talks buying a copper tongue scraper, using it. And then they're like, oh, Shivani told me about it. So I have many women who came up to me after that who were like, I do the thing. I'm like, good job. Using a tongue scraper. It's like Ayurveda 101 for gentle detoxing of the body every day, igniting that gut digestive fire. Oral health is all health. So all the things. Fem City, that was amazing. Then we did a trade show out of my supplement company, Fusionary Formulas. I don't know if I explained what Fusionary is. I don't think I did. So about 8 years ago, after my master's and my PhD, I became an evangelist of turmeric because I really do think the whole world should take turmeric every single day. You can cycle off, but pretty much every day. And I wanted to prove this hypothesis of, can curcumin be as effective as NSAIDs in the body? And can all of orthopedics and Western medicine offer it as an adjunct solution to their patients? Hypothesis. And I went out and I built that formula and it worked, which I dreamt it would work, but there's no guarantee that just because you want something, it'll happen. And it worked. And that formula kind of astounded everyone. They were like, what? My patients can come off of like their chronic NSAID use and take this? And it's been quite an uphill battle. Fusionaries existed for 8 years and it wasn't really winning for the first 6. And then year 7, 2022, I got a really great mentor who gave me great advice. And so the company 3x'd, which was huge. We finally got like funds so that the company could afford itself instead of me personally holding it together. And it got supported, it got strength, it got momentum. And my work bestie became my COO, Maria. She joined in full time, which changed everything. I got a big slice of humble pie and learned that I am actually only meant to do like probably 40% of what happens in my company. And she is better at like 60%. She is operations and accounting and finance and fulfillment and production and all the serious stuff that I sucked at for a long time. She does it beautifully. And me, I just want to run around to conferences and meet all the cool people and interact with them and soak them up and learn and teach and share. Like I have a different skill set called visionary entrepreneur, and she has a skill set called holding down the entire fort and grounding the entire company into the earth. And so it's really beautiful. Like we have the most beautiful team now. We have someone for fulfillment and we have someone for social media marketing and all the video editing and graphic design. Then that person has an assistant for all the posting of all the things. That's why it looks like we're everywhere, because we actually have a team to help, which is nice. It's really nice, especially nice for me because I got freed up to do what I'm good at. But Fusionary is in hundreds of doctors' offices. Tens of thousands of people have taken it. We win the most at chronic joint pain. We are famous for our turmeric formula. Turmeric gold and inflammation relief is our combo. We call it the pain solution bundle. After that, I created sleep solutions because if you don't sleep well, you're not going to clear your inflammation. So we made sleep formulas, sleep teas that are so good. I use them every day. At least the sleep tea I use every single day. Then we were like, okay, what's next? So I've created many different formulas over the years, immune booster and ashwagandha formulas. Now we just rebranded our line of teas. It's awesome. You should check it out. It's like the most stunning thing. So we are a functional tea company because I wanted to prove that Ayurvedic herbs could be as potent in veggie cap form to do the job as in tea form. Again, it was a hypothesis. I have a lot of hypotheses that I run in this brain. And that one was like, let's try it. So deep sleep formula, super effective. Then I built a tea called menopause tea, super effective. Now I'm making a new one for anxiety and stress. It's so good and so effective. I have it in the afternoons and I just settle down and it's so nice. So I'm always looking to create cool things for the world based on the problems that I see in front of me, but I will not create something until I know without a doubt that I can deliver the result. So like right now we are in ashwagandha land and I will not produce an ashwagandha formula until I know with 100% certainty that I can like bring everyone down a couple notches, get them grounded and get them centered. And like I need an ashwagandha that's like life affirming. That's what I want. And so that's what I work on. I'm always trying products, seeking ingredients, working with my factory, working with suppliers, studying the science, formulating the back of my brain. I'm the chief formulator of Fusionary Formulas. That's my job. That and to share it with the world. So that, and then also to be on podcasts. A lot of what I do is teach on podcasts and online. So it's been an interesting year. And we did a couple of different amazing chiropractic shows, went to a couple of different conferences. So those are definitely big marks in my calendar. Flew to Arizona for a conference, flew to Vegas, went to Orlando a couple times. A lot of the big functional medicine conferences this year were in Orlando. The big biohacking conference by Dave Asprey was in Orlando. And I'm in South Florida. It's like a 2.5 hour fun drive to get to Orlando and cheaper and easier. So I did a lot of travel this year, but much of it in Florida, thank God. And then my sister got married this year. That was epic. I had a lot of fun with that. I was part of an amazing organization here in South Florida called The Daily Drip. It's a group of women who are working together to, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's an amazing media platform for female entrepreneurs. And so I was part of that, which was amazing. I went to IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine Conference, hung out with those cool doctors and met a lot of them. I loved that. Dave Asprey's biohacking conference. I'm a biohacker. I just don't share it. And I've decided that Ayurveda is the ultimate biohack. And if you're interested in biohacking, learn Ayurveda first and then add the cool tech on top. That's how I do it. Sometimes you need the tech because you're not going to make the time to do things, but truly everything you're trying to achieve in biohacking is coming from the science of Ayurveda. Like the science of Ayurveda is the science of life that will give you vibrant health. So anyway, I like biohacking conferences because I find them fascinating. I'm like, yeah, I already teach that. Yeah, we already say that. Yeah, we already knew that. Like it's kind of fun. And then I'm like, sure, I'll try the blue light glasses. Sure, I definitely want an infrared sauna one day. But I love learning all the different aspects of that science. Then I went to Houston with my kiddos this summer, and I got food poisoning. I had something, I don't know what, but that food poisoning in June, July was so bad. It threw me off my supplement protocol pretty much until recently. Talk about insane. Like sometimes people tell me, oh, I had this surgery, then I stopped going to the gym. Now it's been 2 years. And I always thought to myself, like, gosh, like, how does that happen, guys? In a judgy way, which is not nice. I'd be like, oh, like, come on, let's go. And this happened to me this year. And it actually like happened. And then I got food poisoning. And I was like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, I don't even understand. So anyways, I eventually got back to taking my supplements, but it wasn't an easy transition back because I was scared of everything I was taking. And it wasn't the supplements. I think it was one specific green juice powder I tried that threw me off and nothing else. But you know what? I now better understand the psychology of what everyone deals with when they take something that doesn't suit them and it throws their whole life off for a period of time. Then I went to Asheville and went whitewater rafting to be in nature. I think I should be in nature like that way more and make more time for it in the next year. We did it a lot in pandemic. We used to stop and go to like different places in Florida and just go soak around in nature. And as a pitta dosha, as someone who in Ayurveda is a fire sign, fire dosha, I need to be in nature and cooling down more. And I think that's something I'm going to build in next year more. I am a Sagittarius. I'm a projector, if you know your human design. I'm someone who just loves running around the world and trying new things. And then I'm equal parts really loving of just being home and like comfort and my car and my house and my bed, my sheets, my tea kettle, my food with my hot sauce and spices the way I want it. So it's funny. I don't know if you're like that, but I'm very much like equally as excited about leaving. And then as soon as I leave, I'm like, oh, but I want home. So it's a funny juxtaposition because I could kind of see that in my calendar. Like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. But God, it's been a bit too much of travel this year. And it's funny because like you get what you wish for. I wished to be a speaker who gets invited to travel to speak. And now it's happening. And I'm like, I'm going to be selective because I really like home. So it's just funny. I guess I'm lucky I'm in South Florida where a lot of stuff is already here. Then this year, a big thing in 2023 was my daughter got into the high school she wanted or that we wanted. And that was like a 4-month saga of everything it takes to build her resume and her all the stuff. So no one really saw that, but that was like a huge, huge commitment that happened this year because she's in 8th grade. We moved our factory this year. So we dealt with big factory issues in 2020 and went out of stock for a few months, and it threw my entire company off. Like the company nearly imploded completely. The only reason this supplement company has survived is because I'm obsessed with turmeric, and I can't really imagine myself having any other job in this life other than talking about turmeric. So I saved the company. The company saved itself. I really think God helped save the company. I shouldn't say I saved it because I don't know how it got saved. I stayed in the game and somehow our customers came back to us and were kind to us and survived and came back. Anyway, it was horrible. Christmas Eve 2020, we got the product and we shipped it out and we still exist, which I think I should be very, very grateful for. But that factory just got real challenging to work with. As great as they were pre-pandemic, they were very challenging post-pandemic. And so I had to make this huge decision with my business partner that we wanted to shift. So we went to supply conferences. We met with a lot of people, networked like heck. And I have a new mentor who I picked up this year. I have 2 epic mentors. And my mentor this year connected me to an incredible factory who's honest and true and pure. And we went out and flew out there and they're so on it. Third-party testing, pre and post-production, GMP certified, like better than I could have dreamed of. And I am very, very particular about how something is made, how it's sourced, how it's put together. If it's not perfect, I just will not do it because I'm I'm part of this going in someone's body. I'm part of this affecting someone's health. And I take that very personally. So it was really cool that we found this new partnership that's better than ever. We're in production now on Fusionary, and we have a 3x inventory order on everything. The company has grown 30% this year, which is amazing. Even through this turbulent time of recession, inflation, all the crap we've dealt with this year, just to have the business on track, to make what it's meant to make, to support those who are meant to take it, is a huge gift to me. So it's kind of why I guess I have the runway to run around and do everything else, because I know that piece is handled and handled so well that it's going to continue to deliver the exact perfect result that it always has. And I'm so interested in clinical science that now I can really focus on, all right, what's next? What's next? Are we doing a knee osteoarthritis study? Like where's the science moving? Because I can hold certain factors and metrics in place as perfectly consistent, and thus we can proceed with that. So anyway, that's a lot of what I do is nerd out on how to create more clinical trials and studies and papers. So yeah, West Coast factory was a big deal. I keep my production in the US because I want total control. I want to be able to walk in and watch production. I want to be able to do my own QC. There's a lot of things I'm very particular about. And I know it's more expensive, and I know it prices us way above everyone else. And people are like, why, what? But you know what? I think we should know where our stuff is made, and I think we should be really careful about it. So I'll leave that there, but I have a lot of opinions on which supplements I take and by whom and which companies and who they are owned by. And I encourage you to do the same. I don't think multinationals producing in China always have the best out there for us for our health. And if we're taking something and we're trying to create a change in the body, let's actually create the change and not buy garbage for $20 that doesn't do anything. So continuing on, because I don't want this to be like a 2-hour podcast episode. My team's like, what were you doing? No one cares. No one wants to hear about your stuff. Let's move on. My house had termites. That was big in like August, and we had to, or July, we had to like move out and do all the things. To me, that's like a huge life event because I'm so like organic and healthy. So I move us out. Probably like 90% of the house has to move out to move in. And I know people think that's a overdrawn thing, but I take our health very seriously and our household health very seriously, which I think we all have to do nowadays. Then I went to Banff, Canada, because my mom had a health scare and she scared the bejesus out of me. And unfortunately, the people around me listen to me the least about their health, which is so beautiful. I get to learn these lessons as life goes on. So my mom is like one of my cases who doesn't listen to me. But anyway, we went to Banff, Canada. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was epic. It was cool. As a Pitta, I should go to the mountains more. And so it's just really lovely to spend that time with her. It was a really nice vacation. And then on the tail end of that trip, something happened in my family here in Florida that was horribly tragic. And definitely threw me off end of August. And it's interesting because it was the anniversary of my dad's passing, and it was my other closest father figure who passed. So it was just that like the year was going in such a good way, and then boom, this thing happened, and it was tough. And I probably still haven't fully processed it, but my job was love my children through something really tough, support my family, take care of everything. And I did that. And I took a couple weeks off in there just to like hold space for my family as we processed what happened, because it was tragic and it was like we did not know it was going to happen. It was a surprise. A surprise is the wrong word for it. I can't think of the word now that I'm thinking about what happened. But I definitely took a month off this year to hold space. And then I had to recalibrate and figure out how to proceed. And then once I did, I was off and running again because I had built this like runway of podcast interviews and all the things that I do. So it wasn't like I could step out for that long. But it was so big that it raised a lot of questions. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Does this really matter? I know this is your legacy, but like what really matters? Isn't it time with your kids? Isn't it time with your family? Like how many things are you going to pursue at once? You can't pursue everything. are you just on a hamster wheel? Like, what is the deal? So it just raised a lot of questions for me that are still lingering, but are especially coming up at the end of the year. And that's mine to process. I think we each have our own journey. We each have our own karma, our own everything that we come into this life with and what we're meant to do. And I definitely think that I came into this life with so many blessings that I'm built for impact. I'm built to do what I do. But I'm always balancing that with what's happening in my actual real life and those who I love. So that was September. Took September off to process and hold space and really love and stabilize my children. And then October, kind of move forward back into work and life and pace and all those things. Our fusionary office moved, which was good and bad. It's good because we needed more space for inventory in a more organized way. It's bad because we've already outgrown it. Like, we need double the office space. So stay tuned. Hopefully we can afford an epic, stunning one soon. We had a DPC event where I spoke and participated in DPC events that might not be relevant to most people, but I love DPC doctors. I think they're awesome. Then October was a lot of my kids' birthdays and e-waste events. My daughter won a Girl Scout Silver Award, so we were busy with that. I had a microbiome event. This other supplement company had a very cool event that I was part of that I want to speak at one day. It was really cool. Like, those were my kind of doctors who dig into the patient. So I had fun there. I went to Arizona for a business conference. I had Diwali. My kid had walking pneumonia. That really sucked. That was really scary to me. I was like, God, if everyone in this house could just take D, a probiotic, and turmeric, we'd have a different world. But no one wants to listen to me. They think Tylenol is an easy pill to swallow, but somehow can't take a turmeric gold. It's ridiculous around here. Then I went to Atlanta, and I had this thing. Actually, before that, I'll tell it after. I went to Atlanta because I got invited to create my own TV show called Vibrant Health with Dr. Shivani. It's going to air in Atlanta, and then it'll air nationally on Roku, Apple TV, and I think Amazon Prime. I think that's what they said. So they're producing the show now. The episodes will start coming out in January. They've asked me to come back in March to film. I am a new TV personality, guys, and that's a new skill, and I get to level up and learn how to do that better. They said I'm a natural and I'm pretty good. I'm happy that they think that. I definitely see room for improvement. So I'm going to be working on all the different little things that could make that better so I can serve even more people. Because the goal was to really show people different aspects to approach their health to build vibrant health and the different tools they can use in their toolkit, the different types of practitioners they can go to. So it was a huge learning curve on that set in that weekend. But the team there was incredible and professional, and they did it beautifully. And I just loved it. I really loved it. Then this year, you may have noticed we started something called IG Live Talks. So every week on Tuesday at noon, we are live on Instagram with the most incredible people on earth. I'm shocked at who says yes to me. I ask because I want to ask all the coolest people. I don't always assume I get a yes, and I'm getting all yeses. So amazing people and practitioners are joining me weekly, and we dive into topics right on IG Live. And it's so fun. And I love seeing all the questions. It's fun to do it so real time. Then I have this podcast, the Fusionary Health Podcast. I love teaching on this podcast. So if you want different guests or different things, let me know. You want more solo episodes? Let me know. I'm open. We are going into season 2 next year in 2024, and I'm excited to see what's going to come from it. And then I'll share my biggest news at the end. So I did my master's in Ayurvedic sciences because I wanted to be an author. And my advisor at the time was like, you should get a PhD because then you'll be Dr. Shivani and even more people will listen to you. And I was like, I do want more people to listen to me. So, okay, I kind of underestimated what a PhD took. And it was tough. It was not easy. It was years. And I kept submitting it. He's like, no, that's garbage, and back and forth. Anyways, I did all that because I wanted to write books that changed the world. I am the biggest fan of Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Gundry, you name a book in health and wellness, Sarah Gottfried, Aviva Ram, there's so many people, Dr. Lad, Deepak Chopra, these people are in medicine and really changed the paradigm of health. They were pioneers. because they shared health messages to us in ways that really transformed culture, that shifted us as societies. And I always dreamt, like, one day, can I write a book that changes how people look at health? Can I write a book that shows people that if we take charge of our health, we don't have to lose our grandparents the way I did. If we take charge of our health, we can change pregnancy, post-pregnancy, motherhood. We can change women's health. We don't have to suffer with diabetes. We don't have to, and all the things I see. And so when I did my master's, I wrote my first book, The Conscious Pregnancy, which to me is like so old now. It's like a intro 101 level book to me now, but it's been, I don't know, 8+ years. And then I'm going to publish a cookbook going into next year. It's a cookbook I had sitting in ebook form that I was sharing, but I didn't put it in physical form. And everyone's like, we want the physical book. So I'm turning it into a physical book on Amazon, because why not? It's beautiful. It's beautifully designed and really fun. And I had those recipes that I co-made with an amazing vegan chef, and my sister was our food stylist. So it's a stunning book. But in October, I have to check my notes, October 16th, because that time was such a weird time in my life. This year, I think I've blocked that whole Q3 beginning in my brain. October 16th, I got this phone call from Reed Davis, the CEO of Hay House. I saw it on my voicemail and was like, Reed Davis, Hay House? What? I had submitted a book proposal to Hay House. And it was my life dream that at some point, like between now and age 50 or so, that Hay House would say yes to me. And I would get to be a real author who's a published author at a publishing house. And I know that's funny because self-publishing is great and everyone does it. It's just in my heart, this is something I wanted. Like, one day, could I write books that impact millions? And could it be with a publishing house? And if there was ever a publishing house I wanted, it was Hay House. Because Mel Robbins and all these amazing people who I love, whose content I consume and whose messages I love, they're all Hay House authors. And so when Reed Davis called me and said, you're a Hay House author, I was shocked. I was like, I must be in a different reality. Like, this is not my life. This is not possible. And I just remember I was floored. I was shocked. I had just walked out of my office to get something, and I ran back in and told Maria, and I was like, what is happening? I'm going to get to be a Hay House author, like the one thing I wanted. And so there's been this juxtaposition this year of like tragedy. Like, I lost one of my favorite yoga teachers on earth at the beginning of the year. And then I lost this other person from my family who was very important this year. And then at the same time, I got a book deal, which I always wanted. My supplement company is working, which I always wanted. And I got to speak at A4M, one of the top 3 biggest functional medicine conferences in the country. I'm sure they'd call themselves top 1, but in my mind, they're the top 3. And I just don't get it sometimes. Like, I don't get it. Life is so good and so complex. Life is so up and yet so down. Life is so rich and then yet so complex and a struggle. And so I will leave you with, your health matters. You matter. Building vibrant health is in your hands every single day. It's when we build vibrant health and come into alignment. Ayurveda's goal is to bring body, mind, and spirit into alignment. It's when we have that alignment that we can build this powerful vibration. And that vibration of love and peace and joy is what's going to magnetize towards us all the things that we want. And I truly believe that that's what happened this year, was just everything I wanted came at me. And at the same time, there were some lessons to learn about what is true, what is real, what matters most. How can you love the people around you so deeply that you know for a fact that you're complete in that relationship at all times? Like, in this moment, I know I have loved everyone in my life so completely that I am okay if I go today. Like, I want to feel that feeling every day. And that's the message I'm going to leave you with. I hope that you are having a happy and blessed and healthy 2023. I know we all go through our cycles of ups and downs. So if you are not having the best one, I'm sending you love. And I hope that things turn around. If you are having one of those years that's epic, I'm happy for you. Let's chat on how to keep your health so vibrant. You can keep it going up and up and up and getting better every single day. You know where to find me right here on the Fusionary Health Podcast, on YouTube, on social, in all the fun places. I am here to help inspire the world and help everyone see that Ayurveda is a powerful tool in our hands. The super spices and turmeric are powerful tools in our hands, and we can build vibrant health every single day. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. See you soon.
Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health Podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.